Hello, this is Paul Gilbert. How you doing? I'm the guitar player for the band Mr. Big, and welcome to my guitar instructional video today. I'd like for this video to talk about some of the things that I feel are the most useful for playing rock and all its different forms. There's so many nowadays. There's, you go into a record store and there's not just rock, there's blues rock, there's alternative rock, there's heavy rock, there's a million different versions of rock, but they're all, in a way, based on that original blues kind of music. So today I'm going to talk about the blues scale and what to do with it, how to phrase, and you'd be surprised how much a lot of this stuff really works when you play in your band, regardless of what version of rock you decide to play. And also try to cover some other things that will help you very practically play in a rock band, because that is the most fun that you can have playing guitar, I think. It's fun playing by yourself, but getting together with a drummer and bass player and a singer is the best thing there is in the world, pretty much. So I want to prepare you for that and have some fun along the way. Hope you dig it. Let's have a good time. And before we get started, we need to tune up, so I'm going to show you one of my favorite chords. This is an E chord. Most people, when they play an E chord, they play it like this. It's a very standard E chord. But I'm going to do something a little bit differently. Instead of using that G sharp note right there, I'm going to move that up to this B note. Fingerings, you sort of have to put your arm in sort of a strange position, but it's worth it because there's no third then. It's just all root, fifth, root, fifth, fifth, root. So that's, to me, the heaviest of all the E chords with some distortion. That's pretty cool. Let's try tuning up to that. Make sure I'm in tune too. There we go. All right. All right. Well, one really important scale to know to get into the blues rock kind of style is, of course, the pentatonic scale. And I'm going to play one for you in the key of A. It sounds and looks like this. If you've been playing guitar for any amount of time, you've probably seen and heard that scale before. The whole trick to it, or not even the trick, the art to it, is to make that scale come alive with all sorts of things that I'm going to show you coming right up here. I think one of the biggest things is vibrato, which really is one of the coolest things you can do on guitar. You know, if you listen to a piano player, they can do great stuff, but they can't do vibrato. And the instruments that can do vibrato, like guitar or just about any string instrument, really a lot of the character and the style of the individual player comes through from the way they do their vibrato. And on guitar, there's a lot of different techniques to get vibrato. I'll show you my favorite way of getting it, which is to use my wrist on my left hand. And the way I do that, because obviously your wrist isn't touching, you don't play with your wrist, you play with your fingers. So, but luckily for me, my fingers are connected to my wrist. So if I move my wrist, my fingers can't help but move also, as you can see right there. I can keep my fingers still, but it actually changes position when I move my wrist. And the same thing happens on the guitar. If I play a note, like this here C note, and I'm actually not even moving my finger, it's my wrist that makes the whole string and my finger move. So you can see this part of my hand going up and down, and my finger's not doing that. It's just staying in one place and moving like that. And I always have this part of my hand, the top part of my finger, on the bottom of the fingerboard like that. And I use it as a pivot. So my hand just goes like that, my fingers stay straight, and the note moves. Now, if you want to, you can use your fingers, but it's just a whole different technique. I'm not particularly good at it, so I'm going to show you what I'm a little more comfortable with. Hopefully that thing will work for you too. One way of treating the pentatonic scale that works really well for making it more musical also is involves some bending and vibrato. Basically what you do, I'm going to take an E pentatonic scale this time, and just pick any note you want out of that scale and bend up to the next one. So sometimes you're going to bend up a whole step, like in this case, to get to that next note. And sometimes you're going to have to bend even farther, like if you pick this note, you got to get all the way up here. So you got to bend real far there. That's a pretty far bend, but it's worth it. You get that. You can get really cool licks that way. And you can do that on just about any note in the pentatonic scale, just as long as you bend either a whole step or that minor third to the next note. You have to know the scale fairly well to be able to figure that out. That's an example of each one. You probably don't want to do it in order. It sounds too much like an exercise. You might want to mix them up a little bit more. Something like that. Another way of treating that is by, instead of starting on a pentatonic note, starting on the note below it and bending up to it. For instance, if you want to hit this note, the G, you could start on the F sharp and bend up to the G. So you don't have to bend quite as far, and it makes it a little more, I don't know, fusiony or jazzy sounding. And you can get these kind of bending licks this way. And those are real useful in playing rock and roll. Just you know, picking some kind of groove. Another way that you can make the pentatonic scale come alive a little bit is by doing slides, not using a actual slide, but just sliding with your fingers on the string. A couple ways of doing that. You can slide up to a note on one string like this. You can also slide on a lower string and then hit a higher note like this. I like the way that sounds a lot. And a final way you can slide is from above. You start with a higher string and then go down like that. So a lot of things you can do. I guess you could also slide down. You go like really put a lot more feel into the pentatonic scale than just playing it. Give it a try, and it builds your calluses too. Have fun with that one. welcome to part 2. Thanks for making it this far. We're going to continue on talking about blues and what to do with it. This next part involves music theory, which usually music theory and blues don't go together at all. But in fact, I remember when I first went to GIT and learned a lot about music theory, it kind of destroyed my blues playing for a while because I started playing very diatonically, which basically means very strictly within scales. And most of those scales were major and minor scales, and they didn't really fit into blues all that well. So for a while, it's kind of hampered my blues playing. But after I'd done that, I really wanted to figure out what scales worked for blues. Because I thought there must be some sort of rhyme or reason to it, some way to study what fits and what doesn't. And this is what I came up with. Of course, first thing to look at is the chords in a blues progression, which are usually, if they're a big chord and have like thirds and sevenths and notes like that in it, usually be a dominant chord, like an A7, where you've got the root, the seventh, and the third. And sometimes you just hear straight this sort of thing. That still fits in. And believe it or not, the other two chords in the blues progression are also dominant chords. You'd have a D7 and an E7. So the thing to play over those, believe it or not, I don't know why this works, but you can play a minor pentatonic and all the licks that you can come up with over that, over this thing that's got a major third in it. But when you do that, it really makes some other notes want to come out and escape. And one of those notes, believe it or not, is the major third. So a lot of times it's really cool to use both those thirds. Use the minor third and go right up to the major one right after it. So it's sort of the progression that can't decide which third it wants to use. So you just use both. There's both right there. Both there again. Even in rhythm playing, you hear this a lot. With that minor third going right into the major. You can do it with bending, or you can do it by actually fretting the note. But that's a really useful thing. Another way you can get that same effect is by playing the major pentatonic scale in that same key, which would be down here. And that gives you the major third right there. Both of those can work together over the same chord, strange as though it may sound. Now this is kind of cool because in a lot of classical music or music that's more structured, you can't get away with that sort of thing. And there's a real art to putting the major and the minor third together, to putting those two scales together. To move on to the next chord in a blues progression, which would be your 4 chord. It's called a 4 chord because it's just based on the 4th step of a scale. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Right there, it sounds real good to play, how would you describe it? It's sort of a Mixolydian scale. I'm scared to use that word since it's so big, but all it is really is one of those. And again, when you just play the straight scale, it sounds sort of clinical, or just certainly not bluesy. It's the art comes in taking the notes of that scale, figuring out which ones are important to the chord, and doing all the slides and bends around it. Let me show you a scale I came up with that is in that same position as your first chord, so you don't have to move your hand all over the place, but you can play over this chord. It goes like this. And it's not really consistent throughout the octaves. It changes, just makes it easier on your fingers. And for me, it's real good for phrasing. I'll give you an example. If you're playing an A, and you go to that 4 chord, you can go, and it outlines that real well in that scale. And you can do the same thing with the 5 chord. Just move that scale up. Back down. Then back down to your 1 chord. And it's a real useful scale. The other notes that I like to add when playing blues are of course, the blues note, which is the flat 5, or the tritone. In context, it sounds really, really, really nice with a pentatonic scale. And of course, you can still use your minor to major third moves. And I think the last really important note to consider is the major 6th, which a lot of times I think of it as the Dorian note. It's a note that's specific to the Dorian mode. And it's also a note that sounds real good over that 4 chord. So that comes into play a lot, because certainly that 4 chord happens all the time in a blues progression. All right, now that you know some more notes to use for the blues scale, here's some more techniques that you can use to play them. Here's some techniques that are sweeps, which for me are always a little bit frightening. It's a difficult technique, or at least it is for me. So these are fairly short, so they're not quite as hard. The first one is hopefully pretty easy. This is one of the easier ones for me because it's based on a chord that you see pretty often. If you're in the key of E, you just play a major E triad. But the trick is, since it's 1 note per string, you can do 3 downstrokes right in a row. And it sort of makes it into one move. It's not 3 separate motions like this. You don't really come up to go back. You just go down 3 times right in one direction. And then I go up to the 7th. And the 7th would be an upstroke, so it's 3 downs and an up. And sometimes I'll even start on the 7th lower with an upstroke also. So it'd be up, down, 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 up. And from there, of course, you want to do some bends and some of those cool phrasing licks. Another one that I like to do is a very similar technique, just a wider stretch up on these notes. I start this time on the G note, and here's the sweep. It's the blues note, which would be a B flat, a C sharp, which would be your major 6th, that Dorian note. Then here we have the E, it's a key we're in, so that always works. Then I end on the minor 3rd G, which is in the pentatonic scale. I bend that a little bit to make it sound like that major one. And I think I'll try a big, huge one here. This is another sweep, but this one's much larger. It's the king of them all here. It starts on the low E. Has 3 notes that are swept. It'd be the root, the 3rd, and the 5th. Then I go up to the 7th with my pinky. So it's 3 downs and an up. Then I slide back up to the root. Do this shape here, which is 4 downstrokes right in a row. But you want them to sound separately, so you move your fingers. And then I go up to the E with my second finger, and the G sharp with my pinkies. That's a pretty long one. I'll play it slow for you. And that one takes a bit of work, but give it a try. With some distortion, that can sound real smooth. You can even add little things on top with your finger here like this. Let me give this a shot. So, in my never-ending quest to try to be analytical about everything, I decided to make a blues scale that had all the notes of the pentatonic scale as well as all the extra ones that I've just talked about. So I played that pentatonic scale, and I decided to add the major third, and decided to add the flat 5, and of course the major 6th. And just for the heck of it, I threw in one more, the 9th. Oh man, it gets confusing with all those notes. Let me try it again. There it is. And to try to get out of just playing a straight scale up and down, I came up with this pattern and this fingering. Check this out. Play a little bit slower. A lot of notes. It's kind of a cool, kind of fusion-y thing. So that's all the extra notes added in, sort of going in one direction, but it also works real well just to play a straight pentatonic and add those extra notes wherever they're going to work well. There's sort of an art to it, but the more you do it, the more it works. But there's still 3 notes we haven't used. We haven't used the flat 9, which would be the B flat in this case, and A. And there's a reason we haven't used it. It sounds kind of strange. We also haven't used the minor 6th, and we haven't used the major 7th. And there's a way we can do them. There's a way we can use them, though. It's by using some chromatic techniques. And let me show you the first one, which would be to use the major 7th. And basically all you do is you have to have all the good notes surround the bad one, like this. And then you don't really notice it. The bad one just sort of flows right into it, sort of passes. And then everything's okay. So you can actually use those strange notes that don't fit as long as you just start with a good one, stick the weird one in between, and then end with another good one. Use the minor 6th, I like to do this lick, where I take the major 6th and do a little chromatic lick surrounding it, which of course uses that weird note right there, and I end on the root. And pretty much anytime you end on the root, it's always going to sound good. So that's got those 3 chromatic kind of things. That lick's real useful. Use it all the time. And I think the toughest one to fit in is probably the flat 9, which is just a half step above your root. It's real dissonant, and the only one I could think of right off the bat is this sort of thing. It's almost a diminished sounding lick with some string skipping in it. I do this. This Just got the little minor third lick on the G string, and then I skip over the B, don't play it at all. And go to this one here, same frets on the high E. And then I slide up and do the same thing descending. Just do that over and over again. So that's a little more kind of jazzy, fusiony, spacey sounding. But that can sound kind of cool in the right spot, you know, in your blues thing. All your jazz friends will be impressed, hopefully. So now you've got it. Every note works. You just got to know the right way to do it. It's an art and a skill, and it can be fun. So get a drummer and give it a try. So I want to show you a couple fingerings where you can play these things a little faster for the flashier guitar style. This one's going to be in the key of E blues pentatonic. And these first two are basically chromatic kind of sounds. What I did is I took the regular pentatonic fingering of the top two strings and I added the chromatic note below each of those fingerings. And you can just do any 3-note per string fast licks that you know. I'll show you one that I know, which is straight up and down. You can do this. And you can do the same thing adding a note higher. So that's a little bit outside sounding. When I say outside, I mean it's a little bit outside of the scale, but still has enough inside where, you know, you can tell what key you're in, and it's kind of cool. Another cool fingering for playing faster blues things is this. This is one of my favorites because it's all the same. You got the same fingers. I use my first finger, my third finger, and my fourth finger. So it's very easy to visualize, very easy to see it in your head. You know, you can do the Santana thing and put your head back and you know, think about your mantra while you're playing. You don't have to look because it's all the same. And it not only works good for fast stuff, you know, where you could play it with many different patterns. You could do like descending fours. But also it's good for phrasing. You can pick all the notes out of there and play them a little bit slower. With some of those bends and slides. And pretty much always works. And of course the fast stuff works good too. All that one little scale there. It's one of my favorites. I hope you like it too. All right. Welcome to part 3. Thanks for making it this far. Very nice of you to keep watching. And I'm glad your VCR is still functioning properly. For this next part, I'm going to continue on with the blues style, rock style of guitar playing, but we're going to get into some more fast and technically challenging guitar licks. I'm even going to change the key. I've been playing a lot in the key of A and the key of E, and those tend to be very easy for guitar players. It goes along with the open strings. It's easy spots, all the dots in the right place, but I'm going to challenge you with the key of C this time. Nice on piano, a little strange on guitar, but it's okay. Up here. This first lick is pretty straight blues scale, but I'm going to play 5 notes of it, starting with the 7th, which in this case is B flat, and then on the 3rd, which be E flat. And all I do with those notes, descendings, 5 notes over and over with a lot of pull-offs, and I try to get it as fast as possible. Now the pull-offs happen on the B string. I pick the first 2 notes, then 2 pull-offs, and then pick the last one. You can also go down and go up together. Another similar lick to that is this one, which I'm going to start on the 5th, go down the scale, the blues scale, and on the root, which is C. And again, do descending 5s, just straight down over and over again. Do that a little bit louder with some distortion. And I'm going to modify that one slightly and put in the high root note, the C, instead of that this one. I'm going to replace it and go like this. And let's hear what that one sounds like. The thing that sounds cool is you put the 2 together, then alternate between that note and this note. And you can even use that first lick. You can use all 3 together like this. All right. Well, this next one, I think, is a requirement of all lead guitar players. If you want to be a lead guitar player, you got to know this one. It's descending 3s in pentatonic. So you take your pentatonic scale, A in this case, and you just start at the top note and go down 3 notes. Start at the next note down and descend 3 notes. Keep going on like that. And then you do it without stopping in the middle. So it sounds like... A real common lick, but you got to know that one. And again, I'm doing a lot of pull-offs to help me so I don't have to pick everything. Makes it a little bit smoother, a little bit easier to play. Now, another way you can approach this is by doing descending 3s, but instead of starting on a lower note each time, you start on a higher note each time. So to make that work a little better, I'll start at the bottom of the scale on the E note and do a descending 3 there. Then I'll start on the next higher note, next higher, and so on. And that's a little less common way of doing a common lick, so there's a little twist on it there. Let me try it with some distortion. Another variation on that, which I really like to do, is to do these descending 3s, like right here, using the blues scale, the blue note in there, and I actually use the bottom 2 notes as a pedal, and I change the top note around. that sort of thing. You can do the same fingering on the next set of strings. Those sound real good together. You can use that on the top of that same lick that we did before with the descending threes. It's pretty cool, and let's check that out. Very, very cool. Well, let's take you up to the key of C for this next one again. Here's some more hammer-on pull-off licks using the blues note and 2 notes on the B string. And the pattern, first I'm going to do a little pull-off like this. Pretty simple pull-off, and then just add 2 notes at the end. If you do that over and over again, it sounds kind of cool. One of them fast and furious pull-off licks. And you can do that in other spots too. You could do it here. And it only uses 2 fingers on your left hand, so if you have a hand like Django Reinhardt, that one worked fine for you. Another version, it's actually using the same notes as this one, where you just do descending threes. But the fingering's pretty interesting because you have to get your third finger to go between the strings pretty quickly. To do those real quick descending threes. That's actually a very precise technique with both hands. There's a real quick picking thing that has to happen to go between those 2 strings that quickly. But that's a real useful lick in the rock and roll world. This is a good lick for picking. It actually uses both of the thirds. It has the minor third and the major third, which is, I told you about before, it can be pretty cool in these kind of progressions, using those kind of chords. So this one, the pattern is pretty simple, just 6 notes. Real similar to a picking lick that I like to use in other contexts also, but this one is more in the blues context because of the note choice. Other fingerings of that are this one. And this one too. And here's all 3 together. You can also do pull-off versions of that by adding a note. I like to add this note. It's the root there, the A. And I'm actually picking about half of it. You can move that up to the next position also. The key of G G, another key we haven't really used yet. We're going to use it now with a Mixolydian lick in the key of G. Mixolydian is one of those big words that strikes terror into the hearts of those who haven't studied music theory. And I haven't studied that much of it, so I get a little frightened when I hear it. Maybe a little frightening too. And it's just these notes. It's the notes that go along with this chord. They sound like this. And I'm just going to play those notes up and down as fast as I possibly can using hammer-ons and pull-offs. Sounds something like this. Heavy blues, kick-ass rock and roll. Well, this is it. It's the end of the video. You've made it this far. Congratulations. Very, very cool for sticking with me. Thanks a lot. I hope that all the stuff that I've been playing helps you out somehow in your own playing. And I hope that you can get into a band and make it useful in real live music. Crank it up. Have it sound good. Always remember to use your imagination. I've got a imaginative tuning here for you to check out. I'll play the piece first, and then I'll show you how it works. I'm just doing a big stretch here in the key of F sharp, a little F sharp minor arpeggio, but check it out with this tuning. That's one for you to figure out there. Good luck. We'll see you soon. Well, besides having a collection of fashionable clothes to wear, there's one thing that will always secure your place in the band of your choice, and that is being able to sing as well as play your instrument. and hopefully being able to do both at the same time. The best way to practice this is basically to do just that, to find songs that you like and play and sing them at the same time. It takes some work, but eventually you'll get it down. Here's one you can try. There's one that's challenging for me. It's got some keyboard parts that I play on guitar, and I get to sing along at the same time. It's an old Emerson, Lake and Palmer song called Carnival Number 9.
Welcome back, my friends, to the show that never ends. We're so glad you could attend. Come inside, come inside. There behind the glass, there's a real blade of grass. Be careful as you pass. Move along, move along. Come inside, the show's about to start. Guaranteed to blow your head apart. Rest assured, you'll get your money's worth. Greatest show in heaven, hell, or earth. You gotta see the show. It's a dynamo. You gotta see the show. It's a rock and roll. Oh, right before your eyes, we put laughter from the skies. And he laughs until he cries. Then he dies, and he dies. Come inside, the show's about to start. Guaranteed to blow your head apart. You gotta see the show. It's a dynamo. You gotta see the show. It's a rock and roll. Oh. Gypsy queen in a glaze of Vaseline, who perform on guillotine. What a scene, what a scene. Next upon the stand, will you please extend a hand? Alexander's Ragtime Band, Dixieland, Dixieland. Roll out, roll out, roll out, see the show. The sight to make you drool. 7 virgins and a mule. Keep it cool, keep it cool. Like it to be known, the exhibits that were shown. Exclusive